So this is going to be a rant. You may notice that the title is The End of My Channel, right? So let's start from the beginning. So I got a job, right? We'll just start there. I got a shitty job at a local dev shop in town, right? $20 an hour, like way below what I should be paid for the kind of work that I do as a developer, you know, especially at a senior level. But I went there, I did my best. I worked for about 4 days on a problem, which was to take aircraft data, location data, and turn it into SQL tables. And I chose to use Python. It was a bad idea because I don't know Python very well. And I was also having to adjust to working in the morning, which was when it was the worst time for me to work, because I would be very sleep deprived and have a very difficult time solving problems at that time. So on top of that, the problem was a novel problem that I'd never seen before. So it was like I've never had to scroll through JSON, decompress it, and then and do that on I think it was 46,000 files. Actually, no, it wasn't 46,000 files, but it was a lot of fucking files. On average, about 180 files per directory after it was unzipped. Actually, no, they were all zipped. Each file was zipped, and it was in 50 directories, and had 180 files in each of them. So it was pretty insane. Anyway, unzip them, eventually, and then I had to put them in a SQL database, and then ChatGPT wasn't able to do it because it lost track of I think it was roughly 38 columns that had to be written to the SQL database. And then once I finally got it done, it was the third day I was working on it, and then he brings me into his office, right? He says, I'm afraid this just isn't working out. I think you're going a bit too slow. You see, this project should have taken you about 2 hours to complete, and you haven't done that in 2 hours. And I'm just like, I don't see how this is relevant, and I've never dealt with this kind of a behavior before. I just found it very awkward, suspicious. I'm like, I've been doing this for 5 years. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I mean, just give me a little more time. I can get it done. It's not like it's impossible for me to do it. It's like, yeah, well, the documentation was there. And I was like, well, I didn't see the documentation. He ended up showing me where the documentation was, and it took him a minute to find it, which honestly isn't a long time to find it. Maybe I just needed a little help, and that was fine. I just needed a little bit of help, I guess. And it wasn't even that much. After that, I got it in the next day. I asked him, he said he was going to pay me my final month for that time, so which was about $950. I came back the next day anyway to try and complete the task out of solidarity, and to show that I can do it, and it's not impossible for me. And he tells me, I don't think you're a bad developer. Actually, before he does this, before he says this to me, he calls the Indian who was working on I think it was some stock options thing. He was trying to figure out what call options were and what put options were. I already knew what this was, of course. So because I've worked in a retail stock market application before, so I knew exactly what he was talking about. And so I tried to explain it to the Indian guy. I probably should just kept my mouth shut and just not worried about it, honestly, because the lead dev over there explained it to him a little bit better than I could. But yeah, since after that he called the Indian guy into his office, he accidentally left the door open. Right, he left the door open so I could hear him, and he said, "Okay, I'm going to offer you this job about $30 an hour, right? But here's the thing: we can't hire you immediately after 3 months, because we have to show the government that we couldn't hire anybody domestically." Okay. So, so what the hell am I supposed to think after that? It's and then I complete the task, right? After this, I know it, hearing this, I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. I got H1B'd out of my job, but anyways, I just ignore it and I complete the task, right? I realized that I have the task running, I have it, it's going through all the directories, it's writing SQL, it's writing data to the tables at about 51 rows per minute or something like that. And there's like 46,000, or what I estimated to be about 46,000. And that's really fucking slow. That's really fucking slow. And I calculated out on paper about 13 hours is what it would take. So I'd have to run that script all the time there, right? And so I thought to myself, I have an hour before I have to go. I'll just optimize this, and I got it down to about 3 hours to run 46,000 records, and so it took about 3 hours to run 46,000 records. Maybe that's not impressive, but it's the first time I've done this thing before. Okay, I've never worked with big data before, right? So, and I did this in 4 days, and I'm just kind of like, even if I did this perfectly and I took like 1 hour to like do the development work, the project itself the script would have taken longer than 2 hours to complete. He gave me an impossible task. There was no way I could have done it. So I basically got 950. He calls me in there and he says, "Yay, what's your payment processor thing?" And I told him how to pay and whatnot. He gave me my 950 and he said to me, "You're a good developer. You may not think that I think you are, but I can tell. I can see your stuff. You solved this problem, obviously. I don't think you're a bad developer. You're just not fast. We have a Japanese guy that we hire, and we might just go with you because it's easier to talk to you in person, and it's a lot harder to talk to that Japanese guy. So we might give you a tryout here if our product launch goes well in the next 3 months, right?" So I'm kind of banking on him to talk to me on that. So even if I did get H1B'd out of it, maybe he felt guilty for one reason or another. Maybe it was, who knows? Who knows how he's running his business? However he's running his business, he obviously doesn't have a lot of money to be spending on these sorts of things. So yeah, I kind of get it. But anyway, I got my $950. I noticed my tooth is chipped, right? I chipped my tooth on that day too. So I'm thinking to myself, well, I know exactly what I'm going to spend this on. I'm going to go to the dentist. He's going to, hopefully give me some of that resin stuff to fill it back up, and we'll all be good, right? And this is about the time when my father asked to see my server credentials, right? So he wants to know about my server credentials. He wants to know what's going on with my server because he thinks that I'm posting atheist content to YouTube and other places. He actually doesn't really care about my YouTube channel. He doesn't really, I don't know, think that I'm putting on anything on there, to be honest. I don't know. Maybe he does. Who knows? But anyway, I had to give him the keys to my server, my restreaming server, which I created on my when I very first became a VTuber. One of the first thing I did was create my own streaming service because I knew that once I got, a community guideline strike by YouTube, I knew exactly I needed a backup, and I needed it fast, so I couldn't be silenced. But over time, I realized that YouTube has a lot of control, and it doesn't matter what I do or build. People are going to go to YouTube because it's convenient and it's well known and it's name brand. I could offer the same technology, but it's not YouTube. YouTube has earned the trust of the masses, and it just does too good at what it does. Even if I could recreate it, I wouldn't get the same following. I wouldn't get the same amount of money, that I would advertising on YouTube. So I treat YouTube as like an advertising platform, right? And what do I advertise? I advertise my artwork, myself, just being fun, and just playing games. I'm lighthearted. I don't really like to talk about religion. I don't really like to talk about, politics if I don't have to. I try to avoid these things, because that's not nice. It's not positive. It's not gay, you know. But but this could all come to an end. And the reason I say this is because if I hand my dad access to the keys to the server, he can shut down the server at any moment, probably by just hitting the shutdown button. Once he figures out how to access the server, that's one way he could do that. And yeah, I don't know. And at that point, I'd have to like find a way to take all my projects and migrate them elsewhere. And take the data. I need to take backups of my data and migrate them elsewhere and buy a new VPS, I guess. And it's stupid that I have to do this, but it's true. I can do this anywhere in the world. But it's the problem my father has, is that I promote atheist content in his house, and I do none of that. I don't go out of my way to talk about religion, but I feel my hand is being forced here. And I think he's doing it intentionally. I think he feels that whatever I'm doing is producing no results, and that I'm just sulking around, playing video games all day, just being a worthless piece of shit, essentially. And maybe some of that is true, but I like to think that I'm practicing my social skills. I realize that getting a tech job is not about, having the skills. It's about being able to be personable. It's about being able to establish trust, right? And be professional. And I am trying so hard to be professional. I made it past the second round of interviews at a company, and I usually don't do that. Usually what happens is I don't even get past the first interview, or I get past the first interview, or, I don't even get past the first interview, right? Or I get a contract job that's a really shitty contract job, and that's what I do. That's what I do for the next fiscal quarter, or 3 months, That's what I do. And because contract jobs are easier to get than regular programming jobs, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah. So how that ties in. He has the keys to my server, he just doesn't know how to do it. It's my task to show him how to do it with Windows via PuTTY, because he solely uses Windows. He does not use Linux, The man who supposedly wrote targeting systems for bombers and avionics for KC-17s doesn't know how to do this. I guess. Well, I guess if you've done C# for, 20 years at a defense company, I guess you would be really good at using C# and not very good at a lot of other things, I suppose. So yeah. Anyway, I have to show him how to do that, and he tells me things like, "Oh, well, if you have nothing to hide, then why you can hand me the key safely, right?" I really hate this statement, because Edward Snowden made this statement to the government, because if you have nothing to hide, then you have nothing to say. And truly, I've dumbed down my personality to the point where I have nothing to say. And I realized this. And so now I'm speaking out because I do have something to say. But I can't say it to him, because that would threaten my ability to live, and it would also, it would also, it's just not good for me to talk about it, my struggles and what I have to deal with, because it's just part of living here. I have to accept that I live with a very Christian person, and that's what he believes, and that's fine, as long as he doesn't try to use that against me, which maybe he is. I don't know. Always there's something deeper going on with him, and that he can't say, or he doesn't know how to say, and maybe this is me making excuses for his toxic behavior. but whatever. The toxicity, it's the toxicity in people is only, it matters in the dose. It doesn't matter so much in the, but in this time it was particularly potent, I think. And it got worse once I found out that the chip in my tooth was worse than previously thought. I paid $200 just for some guy to tell me, yeah, you're gonna need a crown, buddy. You're gonna need a crown. This is not something that a little resin can fix, And yeah. And he might be right about that. He might be wrong about that, but I don't know. So who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. So yeah, the tooth is formed. My post is formed from my original tooth, and it's been filled up. I suspect that he hit the nerve because it was very painful after the Novocaine wore off, and I had to take subsequent painkillers after that to manage the pain. And so far, it feels amazing. I feel fine, and I can finally talk without feeling like I want to die and lie in bed all day. So yeah. Anyway, just this, I did tell this to like some of my viewers. You may already know this about me. I may have mentioned it. In fact, I just bring up, like this. We'll just reading like some of the things that some people have said is like, I haven't even got to the part. Yeah, oh yeah, I did get to the part where I had the dentist tell me that I had to get a crown after my tooth chipped. And so after I found this out, I go to my dad, right? And I tell him, wow, I see. I tell him that, hold on, give me a second. I'm going to move this over so I can read it. Okay. Same. I think this will work out okay. Okay. Yeah, this works out okay. Okay, anyway. So once I found out that my tooth was a little bit more than just chipped, it was like a gaping hole that covered half of my tooth. And it had to be a crown to fix it. I go to my dad because he offered beforehand to help me with my dental expenses, as long as I get it in the United States, because if I get it elsewhere, then he doesn't want me to, he won't pay for it. So I figured if he's not going to pay for my dental expenses, then, and he kicks me out, my only other option is to go to Mexico and get it fixed there because it's cheaper. And that includes me driving down there and getting the passport and walking over there and getting seen by my dentist, over there. And yeah, and which is kind of insane to think about. But yeah, so he eventually gave me $1,000, to like get it taken care of. It was like 1,250, total. So I paid like 250 of it, right? And yeah, I feel that pain now. But after he gave me the $1,000, he said to me, "One day, God is going to strike you down." And I'm like, bro, I didn't call him bro. I'm just like, I already feel like he struck me down. I already feel like if I'm being struck down. I've been living poor. I've been struggling for almost a decade to make a career out of programming. Like maybe I wasn't serious the whole time. Maybe I didn't realize how much work I had to put into it. But like, I've accumulated quite a bit of skills. I don't think it's nothing to sneeze at. It's something that employers take seriously, and I've beaten out like a lot of people in some jobs and made it past the second round. So it's like, it's nothing to sneeze at. It's just a very bad job market right now. A really bad job market right now. And you have to find work in unconventional spots. You have to really look for hidden jobs, But yeah, he said that, and he's like, I feel like I can't trust you anymore because you're not Christian. And I'm just like, what do you mean you can't trust me? You're like, I'm poor. I'm basically not a threat to you. If anything, I'm just like, I'm not a threat to you. It's like you hate me because I'm poor, you know? It's almost like you hate me because I'm poor and that I know more than you, and yet I still can't get a job, you know? It must be frustrating to like have your son know more than you ever did and then still not be able to get a job. Isn't that crazy how that works? It's like, it's kind of fucked up to think that, you know, it's just, but there's no sympathy in this world. You know, you can know a lot of things, but if people don't like you, they won't give you a job. That's just how it is, you know. If you're an asshole, people don't care how smart you are. They just won't give you a job, you know, and you can just suffer. doesn't matter. If people don't like you, you're fucked, you know, and people don't like me, you know, but my sister says, no, people love you and you have a small group of people. Well, obviously, this YouTube channel hasn't really grown that much in the past 2 years. Do people really like me, or do they just think I'm weird, you know? And maybe people just think I'm weird. Maybe I just need to be better at art. Maybe I don't know. But there's so many things I could be better at. It comes to the point, like, what do I do? Seriously. What do I need to become better at? What do I need to do? Honestly, you know. Who do I need to talk to? Whose dick do I need to suck? Who's to just like get some sort of semblance of like the American dream, or like have like, you know, a house and a girlfriend or something like that. Honestly. And like, if this amount of suffering is God's way, he also mentioned that God is making me suffer because I don't believe in him. And, you know, if I'm Job, but a non-believer, is God making me suffer supposed to make me want to come to him and not suffer, I guess? And he's like, well, no, that's not how it works. Well, if God can't end my suffering, then why bother at all? Well, it's about your treasure stored in heaven, right? It's about your treasure stored in heaven. Like, I don't care about that. I care about now. I need food now. I need medical care now. I need to not die, you know? If I die next day, I know damn well that I could just drop dead at any moment. You know, I'm at that age where I know I could just drop dead at any moment. You know, and the doctors won't tell you about it. They don't fucking know. Your primary care physician doesn't fucking know. They could have your health chart and they could just be like, yeah, we don't know. You have high blood pressure. You're really stressed out, bro. You know, who knows? Who knows? You know, you could be having heart problems very early on, and they'll just be like, well, statistically you're not going to have heart problems, so but you know, you might be that one case, you know, and you just know how you feel, you know. I don't know, after having, you know, a lot of stress in the previous years of not knowing what my health is like and having my chest kind of hurt for like a couple years, you know, it's gotten a lot better now that I've chilled out and I've changed my diet and I've, you know, relaxed a bit, you know, finally. And also taken some drugs that my primary care physician gave me. I don't take them anymore because they make my pee-pee small. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, if your religion relies on making people suffer to see the light, you know, the no atheists and foxholes thing, it's just like, if your God created me to suffer, then I don't know. I don't really have an incentive. I just have a bigger incentive to hate him, you know. And that was my first impression of God when growing up. So like, you know, if you want me to believe as a younger kid, you know, I can be a misantheist. You're gonna end up a misantheist, and then, you know, and then they'll meet someone online that, you know, shows them, hey, this ain't real, by the way. You're kind of shooting yourself in the foot here, bro. I believe in this. And then I'm just kind of like, wow, you're right. And that's what happened. And it made me into this. And his control resulted in me, you know, learning Linux. And I told him, by you limiting my access to Windows, it made me into the person I am today. You know, someone who uses Linux all the time and not Windows. And now he finds it incredibly frustrating to get past what actually is quite little security because he knows nothing about computer security. And honestly, it's just kind of when you realize that you've surpassed your parents in how much knowledge you have, and it's kind of unsettling. It's unsettling, you know. And you realize that your parents can't help you anymore, even if you live with them. Yeah, maybe they can help you with some things. They can maybe keep a roof over your head, but they can't help you with everything. They don't know how to. You've gone to the point where it's just they don't know. They don't know how to help you. Nobody knows how to help you anymore. And that's the thing. Nobody knows how to help me except me. And that's the thing. Nobody's coming to save you, even if they want to. People don't know how to help you. They don't know how to help you because they don't know how to help themselves, or they know how they got there, but they've forgotten what it's like to struggle, or they don't know what it's like, and I can't blame him for that. I can't blame my dad for that, it's like, but yeah, if he, for some reason, has access to my server and he finds something that he deems is ungodly, he will get rid of it. And this could also mean my channel, if he finds out about my channel, which is why I don't tell him about what I do, right? I don't tell him that I stream. I don't tell him that I, stream as a cyber hacking foxo, or that I gay post or something like that, or I talk this a lot and I try to be all cutesy woo, or I have a Satan apron that I put on my model, and and it's kind of cute and sexy, I can't really show him that because I don't know, that's just too much. That would be too much for him. It'd be harder. It's easier to explain to him that I'm an atheist than it is that I'm a gay furry on the internet. So, like, how much more disappointed would he be if he found out his son was a gay furry on the internet? Especially when you hate watching gay media thrust into you into like Netflix and whatnot. I hear him just kind of like, he sees two men kissing and he just loses his shit, right? But he sees two women kissing and it's like, oh, that's nothing, right? It's whatever. I mean, it's ungodly and kind of gross, but it's not as gross as two men. Ugh. And on some level, I get it, I mean, but it's like, I don't know. It's not you. You can kind of understand that people feel certain ways about people, and that caused them to, put their lips on each other and, maybe stick their tongue in a little bit. It's not that far removed. It's just, instead of a guy and a girl, it's a guy and a guy, It's not that hard. But yeah, I just kind of, I do really appreciate some of the comments I got in my Discord when I was talking about this. I need to get out of here. I know I need to get out of, where I live. And otherwise I'm going to be trapped here. And I definitely feel trapped here in a lot of ways. I don't feel like I can move anywhere. I feel like that I don't make enough money and that I've been shit on by multiple companies just taking advantage of me. I feel like I'm passed around like a drunk girl at a bar, honestly, when it comes to being a web developer. That's my experience in web development, is being passed around like a drunk girl and getting fucked, honestly. And yeah, that's my life. And I'm afraid to express myself because I don't have a good way to do that. And any form of expression that I can do must be done in secret, because if I do, who's to stop him from doing the same thing he did when I was a child, when he would burn my drawings when he found out that I drew women in bikinis or something like that. He burned my drawings, Who's to say he won't burn this down just so I can, make a normal living for myself, Anyway, that would end my channel if he kicked me out. If he kicked me out, it would probably be the end of this channel, and I'd have to focus on something else. I don't know, maybe I'd make some games or something that VTubers would like to play, and I'd like, I'd still try to keep in contact with all the streamers, and maybe I'd like, try that, but I'd be living in my van, freezing my ass off, maybe homeless encampment, and that would just be it for me until I can find a tech job and just, I don't know, get the fuck out of here, I guess. I guess, I don't know. I'm really starting to consider moving out of the country and being a bum in another country, I guess, or just, but I need a job, and VTubing isn't helping, and I've been trying to monetize this, and I have a few ways to, monetize it, but I feel like there's just not a lot of interest for my type of VTubing in the past 2 years, and I need to do something different, obviously. I don't know what that is. I have an idea what it might be, but like, I just, yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna do my best to be there for you guys, and keep it secret and to be a kawaii foxo. So, yeah. Ja, matine.